Hello and welcome to Podnutz Mini PC Show 121, brought to you by Larry Beck. Thank you for your support, Larry. Dor, how the heck is it going, man?
Hey, Rich. I'll say this going much better now that I get a chance to chat with you about all kinds of goings on. How are you down in Florida?
All is good. Like I've been telling people I haven't seen for a while, all of the important things are good. The minor things are getting better, and they'll get worked out.
I definitely agree with that. I will say, if you want to know why we haven't had a lot of shows here lately, go and listen to DDG episode 44, and you'll hear all about the health ordeals. I don't want to regurgitate them here. For the people who want to hear it, go listen to that. The long and the short of it right now is I have surgery scheduled for June 12th, which will hopefully alleviate some of the goings on with me.
Now, is that for the brain transplant or the gender reassignment?
I'm going to do both at the same time.
Okay.
And I hope you don't. I mean, this did we learn anything with toilet paper about a year ago, Rich?
Okay, so I've got a major YouTuber gun shoot coming up in Georgia where there's gas shortages, and I've looked today at like 50% of the gas stations in the town where the range is don't have gas. So
And
I was looking at renting a Tesla.
honestly, I turned to the wife and I said, "This is kind of why I told you like 8 months ago." She said she wanted to think about giving our small compact car Chevy Spark to my 15, very soon to be 16-year-old, and she wanted to get something. I said, "Get it all electric." She said, "Well, I don't know. I think I should get a hybrid." No, electric. She was like, "Why?" I said, "Because no matter what happens between now and 4 years from now, gas prices are going to keep going up. Now with this kind of stuff going on, yeah, not fun."
So we've had two hybrids. We're on our second hybrid, and I'm really loving the hybrid. Although one full electric in the family works. My wife, she goes to work like 15 miles away and back, and doesn't go too far. And not that with the Teslas and superchargers, it's not that big of a deal. But I kind of like being doing like a NASCAR pit stop as far as refueling. So hanging out 20 minutes waiting for the thing to charge up, I don't know, not so keen on that.
Well,
Also, my wife didn't want a full electric because we have this thing called hurricanes that knocks out power.
yeah, I absolutely understand that part. I will say, with all the advancements this coming model year, there's going to be more than a couple of vehicles that will be able to get from 15 to 80% charge in less than 15 minutes. Also, electric motorcycles, like full-fledged motorcycles, they believe the following year we're going to have multitudes to pick from that can go from 18 to from 15 to 80% in under 15 minutes.
Yeah, I've looked at a lot of DIY electric motorcycles, and it's very interesting. Not, don't get me wrong, I love the whole idea of riding a motorcycle. I just don't want to be a road pizza.
I understand, but I show my wife, since my job has me privy to some information, the National Transportation Highway Safety Board numbers show consistently for the last like 45 years, ever since they started to collect these numbers. Once the motorcycle rider is over the age of 40, each subsequent year, the chance of death or serious injury falls substantially. So I'm pushing 50 now, so I should be really safe.
Hmm.
That's what I'm trying to convince her, though. It's been well over a month. I want to say almost 2 months. March 11th, 10th was the last time we were
Oof.
able to sit down and do a show. I know. There has been a lot of news, but there's also been a lot of pointless news because there's just so much going on with the mini PC things. The three things I have to mention super quick, just because I have to. One, in case I didn't make it clear, Pine 64 has their own podcast, Pine Talk. One guy is a YouTube thing, and the other guy, I have no idea who he is. But they seem like nice people. The other podcast I want to make people aware of is Postmarket OS. Postmarket OS is another one of those operating systems that they make for, I do believe, Pine phones, Pine tabs, and other things. I do believe they also have some Chromebook OSs. That one is supposed to be a little bit more of a power user's desktop where they plan on having full integration with Android APK files. Those are the two podcasts that I'm shocked there's not more distro or hardware based podcasts. With all the celebrities jumping in the last year, I cannot believe there's not dedicated Debian podcast, Fedora podcast. I mean, from the actual companies kind of thing.
Yeah.
Or dare I say a Raspberry Pi podcast with people who work at Raspberry Pi.
That would make sense.
It would, and that's why I don't understand it. I mean, every other celebrity and organization, they're throwing everything they have at podcasting, hoping something will stick, even if it's Lewis Black, like a 70-year-old comedian doing a podcast.
Well, you know what they say, the Pope isn't Catholic, so it might be the people at Pi or, wherever, Debian or whatever, just they're done with it. 5 o'clock hits, they want to leave.
I definitely understand that, which is why I'm happy my 9-to-5 job now, I have to be in Windows the entire workday. I have to be in Windows the entire workday. So when that bell goes off, bloop, that computer gets turned right off and I don't turn it back on.
I don't know if I would get fired for what I'm about to say, but I know so little about Windows now because I mean that I do work with Windows or use Windows for work every day, but don't ask me how to do something with it. Not like I can't figure it out, but no, I'm not a Windows guru. Not like how I knew like Windows XP or Windows 7 or NT40 or something like that. So yeah, I Google is my friend.
Oh yeah, it has to be. I will say there has been more than a couple pieces of hardware news, least to mention the Raspberry Pi Pico, which the only way I can describe it is a super low budget microcontroller where you can run like small Python based operating systems on it to use as what I think of as the backbone of automated infrastructure, if you will. This could be the core of your own custom smart switch, smart sensor, things that interact with your Raspberry Pi computer or your home IT server kind of thing.
Yeah, I think this is, it's the like edge IoT type stuff. This is like the Tasmodo type. What are they based on? I'm sorry, I'm forgetting what they are.
I know.
But it's like that core where it has Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, and just a real basic operating system.
Yeah, I wanted to say Arduino, but that's not it. And then I wanted to say RK3399, which is not it either. But it's the EMP286, something like that. It's close. I know what you're talking about.
Hold on, I need a can opener. I'll crack one of these open. I'll let you know.
Well, Pine also sells a version of that 286.
Oh, it's the ESP, right?
ESP, yeah. And and what that is, it's just a super cheap microcontroller, literally $4 or $5. It's like dirt cheap, but you have then the trust of you being the administrator on it, and every piece of code that is running on it if you want to, and you have the ability to customize the level of security on that if you want, and you don't have to rely on a company's good graces keeping things updated. So I actually am a big fan of the Raspberry Pi Pico coming out. The only question is, how can we utilize it?
Well, I think it's one of these things. So the Raspberry Pi just ate the market, as far as I'm concerned. Before it, there was, some MC68000 based stuff like Basic Stamp, PIC microcontrollers, those types of things. But the Pi is just plain out the go-to if you're going to do something. And it's kind of a shame because I don't think a lot of people know what a 555 timer is or how one of those works. But they'll write Python code to modulate a pin on a Raspberry Pi. So they don't know a resistance capacitance circuit for timing or any of those types of things. Anyhow, no, it's kind of like I walk to school uphill both ways in the snow, blah, barefoot. That being said, they're kind of late to the market with the Pico, which it'll be interesting to see if it takes hold, or if the ESP, is it 286, and I always mess that part up, is just going to keep the market, going to be, because there's a lot of infrastructure there for the Tasmodo and all of that software.
Yeah, I do believe if you're running the Python server on it, the code will literally be nearly interchangeable. You might have to change the GPIO numbers of the ports. One of the things I definitely wanted to show off, line 415 in the notes. Sorry, eyes bad. Was this? It's basically an entire software-defined radio working on a Pico, on a Raspberry Pi Pico. Now, I'm not a ham person in any sense of the word. I don't care about any ham news, any ham technology, any of that stuff. What I care is lowering the barrier of entry of this stuff so anybody with a couple bucks could technically speak their mind to whoever wants to listen. And software defined radio is the old school way of doing that, where you don't need an internet. You don't need a podcast. You don't need this. You can just literally turn on your software defined radio and speak up.
Oh, that's cool. Didn't groom the link, so I'm definitely interested in this one.
Yeah, the guy who's doing it, he's basically doing it on a breadboard with only a couple other pieces of hardware involved. So it's one of those things. In theory, it should not be difficult to put together, and it should not cost a lot of money to put together. And you can have your own software-defined radio. To me, that's really where you could get into more of like wider area solutions and not just your local area network kind of thing. And besides, the obvious thing, doing customized walkie-talkies.
Oh, for sure. That sounds very cool. So for hardware, what are they using for the radio part?
Honestly, I think you have to watch the YouTube video to actually get a breakdown of all the actual pieces of hardware.
Yeah. Oh, I cleaned up my desk so my SDR dongle isn't sitting here. Yeah, that's cool. I'm definitely going to watch that after the show.
Gotcha. I did watch it, but now it was, 2 months ago, so I kind of forgot. The long and the short of it is, I believe there was 2 updates from Pine 64. I like giving just brief overviews on these. Again, you can join their Discord server or their Matrix server or their IRC server, and you can get all these updates. Or you can subscribe via RSS to their blog. The long and the short of it is, they do foresee certain hardware will be hard to get between now and like the next couple months, but they do believe there's going to be more than a couple of things that they will be able to do. Among them, they do believe that their RISC V processor based board will be going out to developers here in less than 2 months, I want to say. They do believe they're going to have pieces and parts to do Pine tabs. I don't think they said they're going to have a hard time getting screens for Pinebook Pros, but also they believe they're going to have the keyboard available for the Pine phone. So if you're the kind of person who has to have that physical keyboard connected to your Linux-based phone, then you need to follow the Pine 64 monthly announcements.
Speaking of stuff, Wise Watch, I wear it frequently. 10 days worth of battery. If you don't mind not making a phone call from your watch and not sending and receiving text from it, I mean, there's stuff you can receive, but you can't reply to it, and that's probably going to be coming. It does heart rate, blood oxygen, all of those types of things, which is pretty cool. I found another use for it. I went away for the weekend. I didn't have to bring a charger. I just brought the watch. Because my Samsung watch, I have, it'll go like almost 2 days without a charge. but you're going to be at the end. Whereas 10 days, and you don't have to worry about it.
And how much was that again?
Was it $20?
I want to say $25. Yeah.
Yeah, it might have been 20 plus shipping.
Yeah, the
So-
nicest way I can put it was a steal.
Yeah, I've got I don't know if it's a little bit more than a $12 band on my $20 watch, but I like this band. I like a metal band, and super happy with it. I can't. Seriously, I alternate. Like when I'm working out, I'll wear this watch because it's lighter weight and doesn't get in the way as much. When I'm biking, I like my Samsung watch because it tracks my biking. It automatically knows that. But just little preference items.
Gotcha. Something else I wanted to make sure was in the notes just for my own stuff in the future. We all know about 18650 batteries, and what they are, what they can do. Basically, they're like the universal rechargeable battery. Honestly, if you open up your Tesla's battery pack, it's filled with 18650s. This was something I saw on a YouTube channel. I can't remember which one it was, but basically, it's a magnetically. It uses magnets, which of course are like miracles. Magnets connected to the 18650, and then it turns it into like a portable USB charger. So essentially, if you have like 3 or 4 18650 batteries sitting there doing nothing, when this becomes available again on Amazon, I want to say it was only like $8. You can buy it and you can have a portable rechargeable battery. Now, I was not sure if this would charge and discharge at the same time. I do think it did, but I can't remember. I am going to try to buy one of these because my RAV Power unit I use here that's been literally plugged in now for well over a year straight, I think might have finally kicked the bucket. I unplugged it all.
What?
Took it upstairs, put it on a dedicated charger, and I'm just going to let it sit there for a couple days and see if it comes back to life. But if I might need a new solution.
Oh gosh, I can't find another one of the chargers. I think I gave it to my wife or my daughter when we were traveling.
Yeah, I just love reusing this because, to be honest, between me and you, my old nicotine vaporizer, I had like, I want to say 5 spare batteries, and they were all 18650s, and they were
Okay.
Samsung batteries that were actually like really good batteries. So I'd like to be able to reuse them again.
That's brilliant. The magnet works.
Yeah, I just thought it was cool. It was one of those things. As soon as I saw, I just said to myself, I had to bookmark it and bring it to a show someplace just so it can stick in my mind. Oh, very cool. Okay. Let me scroll down a little bit. Yeah. I will say Risk V keeps making lots of headway, but it's the kind of headway where it's still not even coming close to being a consumer like grade kind of thing yet, but it is catching a lot of attention, a lot of people's eyeballs. So expect, I'd say within a year, we're going to start to see some actual Risk V based things. The gimmick is they're going to be unbelievably cheap because licensing fees. You're not going to have to pay Intel. You're not going to have to pay ARM. You're not going to have to pay any of them. And you're going to be able to have functional, useful operating systems.
That's cool.
One more thing I had to talk about, 440, because this was an old Tracy Holtz thing that me and him dreamt about for years and years and years. And that was a affordable, like a truly, truly affordable dual NIC setup. So you could literally take this piece of hardware, go into any place, and have yourself an actual gateway, a gateway that you can monitor the packets on. You could do packet filtering. You could do alarm. You could do all kinds of network monitoring off of it. Then now the gimmick is this is not a gigabit port. Neither of these ports are gigabit. So this would have a limited use case. But right now, I have basically 3 networks in my house. I have my wife and kids network. I have my studio network, and then I have my IoT network of stuff that I don't trust ever.
Mm-hmm.
I can see putting this 10100 on my IoT network and just do packet sniffing the entire day, doing logging, and anytime a new MAC address or IP address comes onto the network, send me an email.
Yep.
And again, it's only $26.
That's pretty cool. I mean, you still got a. Is that a battery on it for a real-time clock?
Yeah.
So you got to provide power. I'm guessing. It's not PoE because they'll say it's PoE if it is. Does it come with a power supply in a case, or is that extra?
I don't think it comes with any of those things. And even if you go to that site, I don't think you can buy a case. Best case scenario, you could go on Thingiverse or a place like that and find somebody doing a case.
3D print something? Can I show off some 3D printing?
Sure.
Okie doke. So I have a Raspberry Pi cluster of 4 Raspberry Pis. These are just stunt doubles. And there's a 5-port switch in the middle, right there. And there's a, Ethernet connector there. It's basically a female-female. So it's going to be wire going in and power. So it's going to be 1 Cat5, 1 power. It's going to look like a trash can. So here's the trash can top. Whoop. And here's the cylinder. I got the fan on it. So it's going to fit over like that. And trash can lid on top. And because I don't have an exact fit on everything yet, I'll have to do the balancing act to show it to you. So I figure I got a number of Pis. I'd print a couple of these out. And, they don't necessarily have to be clustered, but I do have an ESXi cluster with these.
Gotcha.
So all of you guys in podcast land, you'll have to look at the video.
Yeah, and I did isolate your video. Now I thought this video would jump back and forth, but no. Okay, I tried. That I'm going to guess is in PLA.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, I definitely like the look of it as well. And it looks like to me the right size of something that you could have in the corner of the room. Wouldn't take up a lot of space. Wouldn't make any noise, and you could just have it there doing its thing.
Yeah, it's going to have an external power supply, power brick. So I kind of like the idea of it being modular, that you could just about unplug it. It's 2 plugs, your power and your Ethernet, and take it anywhere with you. You could throw a battery on it too if you wanted. Actually, that's kind of a cool idea. Because that's what Google does for its motherboards. They have batteries on the board to power them.
Yep. One more thing I had to bring, even though this is the kind of thing, if somebody has an opinion, they're going to be very opinionated about it. Okay, I understand. Huawei has already put out a couple laptops. They all, to me, look really nice. They're all super thin, super sleek, decent battery life. Now they're coming out with a laptop that's powered by their Kirin 990 ARM processor. And right in the very first line of the article over on CNX Software, while it's already possible to purchase an ARM Linux laptop like the Pinebook Pro, the Rockchip 3399 processor and 4 gigs of RAM may be limiting for some, especially when doing multitasking. The defending of the Pine thing is their products are supposed to be for enthusiast developers or enthusiast just fans kind of thing. They will get to the point to where they will be ready for an air quote prime time usage. Huawei, on the other hand, there's no doubt you get this thing and it is going to be quite capable of running what you want on it, especially if it's a Linux operating system. It's going to be a octa-core A67 A55 processor, so that's a big little processor with up to 8 gigs of RAM, 512 gig storage, and a 14-inch display. The cores go from 2.86 to 2.09 gigahertz. I'm sure this is not going to be cheap, is what I'll say out loud, but it's the kind of thing. Somebody starting to make these means somebody else will be encouraged to start to make these, and then somebody else will be encouraged to make these, I hope. So hopefully in like 2 years from now, we'll be able to literally buy a Lenovo or something and not have to worry about the Intel tax, not have to worry about 3-year-old Spectre things that coulda, maybe, kinda, maybe could thing, where you could literally just have an ARM processor laptop and actually live the dream of doing everything you want to do on it.
That is really cool. I wish there was a price on this.
Knowing Huawei, at least $600 is what I want to say.
Yeah, I don't know if I want to pay that much.
I know. They say it's going to be available starting Q2, so literally in the next 2 months, they believe it's going to be available.
8 gigs is a stink load of RAM.
I can well, here's the thing, and I meant to ping you and I didn't. It was a article on like VentureBeat or some more popular site, and it said the days of buying a laptop and it only having 8 gigs of RAM needs to end right now. And I'm thinking, me and Rich thought that like 6 years ago. Where the hell are you at?
Yeah, well, that's why with the new Macs, I have a Mac with 16 gigs of RAM. I want a 32 gig of RAM Mac. And I'm not buying another Mac. This is the Mac I'm dying with.
Yeah, I can't see buying something with less than 32 gigs of RAM ever for the rest of my life, because my logic will be, what's the point? Because I already have stuff, that I need more, not less. I mean, I don't move from a townhouse into a trailer. I try to move better. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Unless the trailer's on the beach with a great view, and you just make a killing selling the townhouse. I hate to tell you how much my house is worth. My house went up in value about 50%, and I've been here 6 or 7 years. So I would not be able to buy into this neighborhood.
Yeah, that was kind of like my first house. My first house, 2 miles in that direction in Edgewood, I bought for literally $90,000. 2.5 years later, sold it for $180,000. Then I bought this house. 13 years later, it's almost worth what I paid for it.
Ooh, ow.
Yeah. Well, I made so much money off the first house, it was inevitable I was going to not make out with this house quickly.
Yeah, well, Florida real estate's just going nuts. Also, my house in New York, I'm going to be selling, so that's another place that kind of went nuts.
Yeah, absolutely. Here's a true, in air quote, mini computer I have to bring again, partially because I do have a history with this company. I do have like 2 pieces of hardware, I believe, sitting right to my right-hand side, and I thought I had another one sitting over here. Melee, M-E-L-E. It's a company I've bought more than a couple things from them. They've never been the super best thing I've ever bought in my life. Line 440 again. But they've always been, you got exactly what you expected device if you know the specs, if you know the numbers. And this is a Melee Quieter 2 is an ultra thin fanless mini PC powered by an Intel Celeron J4125 processor. Now, the 4125 processor, I believe, is pushing 3 years old now, which just means it should be very optimized. It should be able to do functional things without catching on fire. But when you load something like Google Chrome on a Windows desktop, expect it to take a couple seconds to load because, Google Chrome and Windows. It's literally like the size of like a credit card, and then it's like stacked up to be just thicker than a USB port is what it looks like. This is the kind of hardware I love to just look at. Okay, it's slightly taller than a Ethernet port.
Wow. This
203
is 8 gigs of
grams.
RAM?
Yep, 8 gigs of RAM.
All right, M2, so you can put it in 1 terabyte. That's very functional.
Yeah. Storage 128 or 256 flash, and then it has an M.2 SATA NVMe socket card reader. Video output is 2 HDMI ports. 2 HDMI ports. I love that. Gigabit port, 802.11 AC, Wi-Fi 5, and Bluetooth 4.0. 4 USB 3.0 ports. I don't think you'll be able to get full speed on all 4 ports at the same time, but I'm sure on one you can get good power speed through it at least. And the power supply is via USB-C. 131 millimeters by 81 millimeters by 18.3 millimeters. I'm sorry, this thing is just sexy. I like it.
Okay, so I would compare this, like if I was going to buy this, and there are use cases. So my use case would be the thin client, where I have my 2 monitors, keyboard, mouse plugged into it. And, when I had the place in Orlando that I was traveling to, that'd be a great thing just to, Velcro to the back of the monitor. The only thing I would say is I would look at the specs and compare it. What would a Nook of similar spec cost me? I'm guessing it'd be more, but this looks like a really neat thing.
This is the kind of computer I would want in the past to be able to just stick in my pocket, take to work with me, pull it out, plug it up, and have my personal computer sitting right there. Or if I was a road warrior, if I had to every week go to different hotels to do my job, this is the kind of thing I'd absolutely have in my pocket. Right now it's around $240, which just means wait 3 to 6 months, you'll probably be able to get it for about $180.
Now, of course, it comes with a case because it's a built product. Does that come with a power supply also?
I doubt it, only because it's USB-C, but I'll say
okay.
I give it like a 50% chance that it will be in there. But knowing them, the cord will be a foot long.
Right. Now it says non-standard 12-volt USB-C as found in the Chewy lockbox. USB-C, isn't it? It's 5 volts. What are the voltages? There's like 3 voltages, right?
Cannot remember. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I believe there's 3 voltages for USB-C.
Oh. So yeah, it's a non-standard. This is slightly scary. Okay. We better not lose that charger then.
Yep. I might be wrong because what I'm reading says there's different wattages for USB-C. Maybe it's not voltages. I thought it was voltages though.
Okay. The 2 quickies I just want to throw out there is there is 2 things with Nextcloud in the news. One of them is Nextcloud has a new like add-on plugin. It's called Nextcloud Health, where it can take your health trackers and it can sync to Nextcloud Health. So if you want to host your own health information on your own network in your own solution, Nextcloud Health might be able to help you do that. I believe it works.
Oh, that's cool. Because I just saw Samsung had new privacy notice for their health. I'm like, oh, jeez. I just didn't want to go through it. And jumping back to the USB power, what it's saying is USB power is 5 volts, 9 volts, 15, or 20 volts. So 12 volts is not one of them.
Gotcha. I do believe the Nextcloud Health was compatible with the Apple ecosystem, with the Samsung ecosystem, with the Google Fit, and I want to say there was one other they mentioned in the update.
Is it WiseWatch? Is it?
Don't know. But the other one is there's a thing called Open Project that they're looking for that does open source project management. That's what I was trying to think the word was. So Nextcloud continuously, quietly keeps putting more upgrades into their system to become more functional, whether it is for like your Soho or your enterprise level stuff, or if you just want to become an entrepreneur, they're definitely starting to get more, I'll say, more of a complete solution.
Well, there's Nextcloud VMs. There's also Nextcloud containers. So you pretty much can deploy one of these without too much effort.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I'll make sure both of those links are in the note if anybody wants to do a deep dive into them.
And I forget the Office suite they come with. They come with. Do you remember the name?
It's not LibreOffice. It's not StarOffice.
Oh, Star's old.
I know.
Anyhow, it comes with an Office suite. So if you're looking for like a Soho type network storage, conferencing, video conferencing, video chat, full application suite, it's pretty amazing. So instead of giving Microsoft crazy money, this is all open source.
Yeah, it's using only Office.
Okay, yeah, that's right. I forgot.
And I'll say any of these Office solutions, whether it is Office, whether it is LibreOffice, or any of the other solutions, if you're using it for you, and then you save it in open document formats and you send it to anybody using any other Office application, it works just fine. The only gimmick comes if you try to save it in its native format and then send it to someone using another solution, you come into issue. So ODT, I believe, is the open document format. And tangent, my 9 to 5 job, we're using a custom solution where almost every place in the solution you can click on 3 dots and hit save as and it says Word doc or spreadsheet, and you save it and it's saving it actually as open document templates in open document spreadsheet formats, which makes it to where it just works everywhere you go.
Oh, wow.
Not really sure if any other news around here. I'll say around here, the only thing I've done, I talked my wife into letting me buy for my birthday 2 pieces of mini hardware. One of them is called an M Classic. The other one is called a Super 64. To where you can take a Nintendo 64 that I bought off of eBay, plug the Super 64 up to that, then plug the M Classic up to that, and then go to your TV. It literally smooths all the pixels, and it looks like it's up-resing the device kind of thing.
Oh, cool.
But the first thing I did was I took it over my sister-in-law's house, and I let her borrow it for a week because there was like 2 games that she remembers as a kid that she thought was cool. I said, well, fine, you can play that. So what I did was I loaded up RetroPie on my Raspberry Pi 4 that I'm right now using as a Mumble server, and just once in a while playing a game or 2 during the week just to like detox from work.
Hmm.
Because sometimes I just gotta not think about work or cooking or cleaning or that stuff.
Yeah, I hate to say it, like Wednesdays roll around, I'm like, oh my God, it's Wednesday again. And it doesn't seem like I'm getting enough me stuff done. I'm just, it's like I got the finger in the dike and the water's not coming in, but I don't feel like I'm making headway.
I hate to say, I absolutely understand and agree. Line 445 in the notes. This one, it's the kind of thing I want to wait and see what becomes of it, is the way I'm going to put it. There used to be a Linux desktop operating system I loved called Hybrid. The gimmick with that one was you could load it up on your laptop, and then you could actively, dynamically switch between like 7 different desktops without having to log in, log out. And I saw this hybrid OS, and I thought, they're trying to do that for the Raspberry Pi? And I start to read, no. Hybrid OS is a totally new operating source system designed for small IoT devices and cloud computing environments. Hybrid tries to provide the developers with more possibilities than just traditional operating systems for standalone hardware environment. So it's basically trying to be that edge network operating system kind of thing. This isn't the only one. There's been a couple more I've seen in the last 2 months. This one, I'll just say, caught my eye a little bit. It seems like it's a little bit more developed than some of the other ones. Not saying it's ready for prime time, but this does look like it could be a really good development environment if you're trying to do your own IoT infrastructure development and you don't want to have to rely on Debian's patches or somebody else's patches. I just thought this was an interesting thing. Don't know if it's going to catch on, but I just like the fact that other people are trying different things.
Oh yeah, it looks cool. And again, if I had more time to do cool things, this would be one of them I'd look into.
Yeah, because all the development stuff I'm doing for my 9 to 5 is nothing even remotely close to being this detail oriented, is the way I'll put it. Okay, now one more. I know I've said one more thing 3 times now. This is proof. Back in the day when I first started podcasting Linux for the rest of us, I would always say stuff like, I don't know what it would take for us to, in air quote, win. You had a bunch of mental invalids say, well, when it's the year of the Linux desktop is when we win. And I'm like, no, I don't think you understand how this stuff works, son. Here's how I know we've won, because companies cannot stop. They're tripping over themselves to say, I'm releasing this as open source. I'm releasing that as open source. Microsoft is releasing crap tons of stuff on open source. Apple is releasing stuff on open source. Oracle is releasing stuff on open source. And IBM is releasing stuff on open source, and they cannot stop. They all want to get that cred. They all want to get that credibility and say, look what we're doing, look what we're doing. So here's another one. This is called Libra BMC. Now, the way I read this, baseband management controllers. This is something I would almost relate to the FIFO, back-end operating system on hardware to do the back channel communications while your front-end operating systems and software is handling the other responses. This is called Open Power Foundation, formed to promote IBM's open source power instruction set architecture, and they're going to basically develop into Libra BMC. So this is another way that you can have an assortment of devices, an assortment of hardware communicating with each other on its own trusted network kind of thing, their own maintenance network. Yeah. And not surprisingly, they highlight first and foremost, security is their priority. I'll say a few companies have been around long enough to where I really do think that they really should understand, yes, security should be your priority whenever you're trying to do these kind of communications. IBM is definitely one of those companies I think should know it.
Okay, so you brought AREX was an IBM thing, was it? Rex? I think Rex was an IBM thing.
I think so.
So back in the day, so we're talking 25 years ago, I had Amiga 500. I used software called Deli Tracker. In AREX, basically allowed you to script all of the key presses that you would do from the UI. So basically, it's like batch scripting. I wrote a playlist before playlists existed and rotated through the playlist to teach my birds how to talk. It would have me say a word and then another bird that could talk say the word so I could teach the chicks I was raising how to speak. And they learned how to speak before they were done eating, before they were eating solid food.
Very cool. Okay, Rich, I don't really have a lot more updates over here. Okay, I lied. B-Link. We brought more than a couple B-Link mini computers here in the last 2 or 3 years, and honestly, I think Brian brought at least one or two. B-Link, I'll say this: they make a range of hardware. Line 447 in the notes. Some of it is, I think, higher end. Some of it is, I think, more expensive, and then they make some of this less expensive. B-Link GK Mini is a compact desktop, and this is, I think, just smaller than Nook form factor size. For it says about $200. 4x4 by 1.7 inch PC with a quad core Intel Celeron J4125. We just mentioned that one earlier tonight. With 8 gigs of RAM and 128 gig SSD. This one's definitely bigger than that credit card size one. But this one is available on Amazon for just a little over $200, it says. If my son turns to me and says he needs a computer in his room for work and I don't have one, this is going to be just fine because I'm not buying a computer for my kid to play games on. If he wants to buy a computer to play games on, he can come up with that money himself. I'm not doing that.
Okay, this is almost too good to pass up. 4 cores, Gemini Lake, up to 2.7 gigahertz, 8 gigs of RAM. Boy, if you want to set up like an ESXi home lab for $200, or you get 3 of them as a cluster, that's stink cheap.
Yeah, and it has good ports, good I/O. It does have an M.2 slot with support for SATA SSD, so you could easily upgrade the hard drives. What I'm going to say. Yeah, I'm a fan of this company. They've made a couple things in the past I thought were pretty cool, but this one does look like it's really nice again. 4 USB 3, 2 HDMI ports, gigabit NIC, $200, hard to beat.
Yeah, wow. If I wasn't hurting financially, I'd jump all over that.
Trust me, I understand. I found out my governor is offering $100 to all state employees to get vaccinated.
Yeehaw.
Turns to the wife, said, "How bad do you need money?" wait to hear her answer.
So it is a Celeron class.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, Celerons cannot do extreme AutoCAD stuff. You know what I mean? But you're doing desktop browser, word processing, even old school game emulation kind of thing. That thing's going to work just fine. Even if you're just, on the back end transcoding stuff using Handbrake, as long as you're not in a rush, I think it would work just fine.
Now, all right, here's the thing that worries me. It's got 2 5-star ratings. And only 2 ratings.
Well, you could be number 3. And I do agree that's unusually low for anything on Amazon.
Yeah, usually they pay for people who do more ratings.
Well, on the bright side, I literally saw this on the 11th, and it's only the 12th. So maybe it was just put up a couple days ago. I will say, I am also. I mean, if this doesn't look ridiculous, I don't know what does, Rich. I want to play around with either Hugin or Node Red to try to do some replacement of Hootsuite you were looking at.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And this is the most ridiculous looking solution I've ever had in my life. This is a NanoPi Neo with a gigantor Wi-Fi USB dongle on it, with a huge heatsink on it, running Diet Pi, and I'm trying to get both Node Red and Hugin to work on it to see how well it can be a replacement to do those kind of scheduled postings to other sources.
Now, can you install Hugin, or however you pronounce it, with Diet Pi?
It looks like it's just a curl with a bash script
Okay,
to run.
I love that.
And it looked like the only requirements, there was only, I think, 2 or 3 pieces of software. The first OS I loaded, it wouldn't work. So I'm tried Diet Pi. Then after that, I'm going to try Armbian to see if I can get one of them to take it.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, and so my ask right now is, with all of the fragmented social media, let's just say there's 10 different places I'd like my posts to end up. I really would like to be able to post it once on, whether it's an app or whatever it may be, and then have it go to, Twitter, Facebook, Gab, wherever. You fill in the blank of alternative media, because I would like to utilize those things.
Yeah, I mean, the old technology, I think it was called Subhub PubBub. Subhub PubBub. Don't say that 3 times fast. Or that was the whole goal with it, was trying to be like a super feed posting thing. But I'm going to keep playing with that, see if I can make any success there. But speaking of that, Rich, if someone wanted to go to a one-stop shop to catch up with you, what's the easiest way to do that?
Flyingrich.com is where all of my social media is. There's a contact for me, so if you want to get a hold of me, send me a message, or tell me I did something right or wrong, please go there and let me know.
Very cool, very cool. And I'm sure we missed a couple emails, but I'm going to say they didn't put enough words in caps for me to catch it. If you would like to send us an email, it's very easy. minipc@podnutz.com. You can follow us on Patreon on the Mini PC Show. Link in the notes, kind of thing. And I want to thank everyone for their support and patience during this, I'm not going to say unprecedented time, because every time somebody says that, I want to punch them right in their throat. During this normal time of a normal year, we're all suffering through something. Me, it's nerve damage. Oh joy. But I want to thank Rich for coming out. I want to thank Red for coming out, the Mac Geek Chatter for coming out, Charles for coming out. All you guys, thank you very much. And I'll give Rich the last word. What are you going to try to do next in the Mini PC world, Rich?
Oh, wow. And so this year I really wanted to catch up on things I didn't do last year, and the things I haven't done still, that are first on my list is, somewhere on my desk here. I've got the HDMI, what is it, encoder, the HDMI to USB, so I can grab screen, so I can do screen caps, and the USB Coral, Google Coral, however you want to say, for machine learning. So those are 2 things I've been wanting to do and haven't done yet. Don't get me wrong, there's like another dozen.
Very cool, very cool. I want to try to figure out a way to make it completely hands off. I want to get a mini board and external hard drive for my buddy and give him his own Nextcloud instance, where he doesn't have to know about backups or updates, and he doesn't have to rely on me to log into his network and do updates on it, kind of thing. We'll see how much success I have with that.
Oh, that's a good one.
Very cool, very cool. And I want to thank everyone again. And if you want to give us any ideas on things to do, don't hesitate. Shoot us an email, or you can join us on Discord or a couple other services that we're on. And with that, we will talk to everyone again real soon. And we are still streaming. Close. Yep, still streaming. Okay. Wow. My neck is going crazy.
How you doing, man? I haven't really talked to you.
Hurting, man.
I'm only hurting from self-inflicted wounds. We did yoga today. We had a real heavy work Monday.
Gotcha. Well, I mean, I was feeling like constant, is what I'll say, pain from the neck down to the wrist, and then numbing on the last two fingers. But now, I just feel like a heat pain on the very top of my forearm, and I feel definitely numbing, and that's what the surgery's for, to get rid of the numbing in my fingers. My neck now, maybe for like an hour a day, just hurts like hell. It's better than all day, but it still hurts. So after July 11th, they want me to wait 6 weeks, and then if I'm still in pain and complaining, then they'll address my neck.
Wow.
Yeah. I know.
Yeah,
And they said I had to wait till July or June the 12th because everything's so backed up because of COVID.
Yeah, I hate to say we haven't done this in so long. I forgot how to set up for it. Usually I have YouTube running so I can see the chat.
Yeah, there
I
are
got a
guys
printer
there.
running in the background. It didn't sound too loud, did it?
I don't think I even noticed it.
Okay. Yeah, I think I want to set up my printers in the garage and put the filament in a container with desiccant.
Yep.
And just I don't like the noise too much in my office. Also, I don't like the idea of being distracted by it.
Right. I tell you right now, there are so many good designs where you can get like just a plastic container with like the locking top, heat gun a little hole through it, put like a little diaphragm through it, bam.
Yep. Yeah. So I was going to do something like that.
I'm at a much different latitude than you. I kept telling myself I was going to do that, but then I leave the filament there on the 3D printer for 3 months. I go in and print, and it still works fine.
Oh.
So I was like,
That's
why
okay.
should I? Well, I'm sure with you, that's not the case.
Yeah, it seemed like my filament soaked up a whole bunch of humidity. Are we done streaming? Is it just you and I talking?
It's still streaming. I can cut it up if you want. Give me a second.
Oh, okay.
I needed to check here first. Check there first. Delete these 2 files. Okay. I just got some drone parts from a expensive drone. Might make one of the leftovers. Sounds cool, Red. All right, guys. I'll store mine in a dry. Yeah, you really should store it in a dry box. All right, guys, want to kill the feed? Oh, let me stop that. I need to delete that file too. Okay. All right, guys.